Hi guys, welcome to Edureka. This is Shyam, and in today's session, we will cover some interview questions related to the UiPath and robotic process automation to help you pass your interviews with flying colors. But before we begin, if you are new to this channel, do consider subscribing as we upload new videos on leading technologies every day. Also, hit the like button, and if you are looking to get in-depth knowledge about the RPA or robotic process automation, check out the links in the description below. So, let's define our agenda for today. We will see what is RPA, followed by what is UiPath, then we will look at some trends in the UiPath jobs, and after that, we will take a look at various interviews questions related to this topic. Let's begin. What is RPA? RPA stands for Robotic Process Automation, is a technology that aims to automate basic human tasks by dedicating these tasks to robots and increase productivity as a result. Unlike artificial intelligence, these robots are meant to mimic human behavior. They cannot think on their own or have a mind of their own, but they are taking care of repetitive human tasks such as data entry, back office activities, or something like data validation and so on. RPA stands for Robotic Process Automation. The robotic part implies a set of human actions that robots do. Process is a procedure in which these robots will mimic human behavior, and the automation part is the part where these tasks are completed by robots instead of humans. Now, let's see what is UiPath. Well, UiPath is an automation platform for end-to-end high-scale automation. UiPath is very popular in the industry as it streamlines processes and makes the digital transformation fast and cost-effective. Now, let's look at some trends for the UiPath jobs. There has been an increase in demand for UiPath developers globally. Depending on your region, RPA developers can earn anywhere from 3.5 LPA in India for freshers, and experienced candidates can get up to 6 LPA and around 20 to 30% hike each year. In USA, developers can earn on average $70,000 per annum. Solution developers and architects can earn six-figure salaries up to $130,000 or above. In India, however, the salaries for fresher developers can average around 3.5 to 5 LPA or above. Senior architects and senior developers can earn up to 6.5 or even go beyond the 10 lakhs per annum mark in India. Now, let's move on to the interview questions. So, for our first question, we have what are the components of UiPath? Well, UiPath has three main components. These are UiPath Studio, UiPath Orchestrator, and the robots. The UiPath Studio is a graphical user interface dashboard that is used to design and automate workflows. It contains variety of tools and settings allowing workflow creation and management. The Orchestrator is a web-based tool for deploying, scheduling, monitoring, and managing UiPath robots. The Orchestrator is essentially a centralized platform for management and controlling of the robots and acts as a link between the UiPath Studio and UiPath robots. The UiPath robot, which are also known as bots, are the primary working parts. They run automation processes designed in UiPath Studio. And these robots can also begin execution of tasks automatically in response to some other activity or some other trigger on the system. Now, the second question. Why UiPath is the preferred RPA tool in today's industry? Well, UiPath is a business process automation tool with a variety of features that makes it great to work with. Some of the features that makes it the most preferred tool in the industry are: it is a complete suite. With the UiPath Studio, Orchestrator, and robots, almost all basic human tasks can be automated with ease. It has a large library of activities available that can mimic human activities with a very easy to use drag and drop activities. Because we can store and encrypt credentials on centralized servers, UiPath also offers high security standards. Also, UiPath has the ability of recording. It contains dedicated recorders for desktop apps, Citrix environment, terminal, emulators, and allows for considerably faster and more exact automation creation. The debugging technique that UiPath has also allows creation of robust and adaptable robots and essentially better workflows. UiPath also encourages collaboration. With the MS Team, Foundation, and SVN, it is possible to save, secure, and exchange scripts, allowing for reusability of workflows. What are some of the major applications of UiPath? Well, UiPath has been used to automate various human tasks in the industry. Some of these are, but not limited to, financial reporting, data extraction, or something like even data capturing and manipulation of invoice generation, and email exchanges, data entry, and it can also go on to like automate your basic human tasks so that you don't have to do them. Now, moving on to fourth question. Is RPA same as artificial intelligence? Well, the answer to this is no. While RPA is meant to assist workers to increase overall productivity by automating repetitive tasks, AI or artificial intelligence can completely replace humans from the business process equation. AI has an artificial mind of its own and can develop its own reasoning for carrying out certain actions. However, it is possible to combine RPA and AI to work together to push the automation workflow into more and more complicated tasks and activities. So, moving on to the fifth question. What is meant by an attended and unattended bots? Attended bot are the bots that work on the same computer as a human user and are typically activated by the user's action. On these types of robots, you can't start processes from orchestrator and they can't run under a lock screen. They can only be launched from the robot tray. However, with the unattended robots, the case is different. Bots that run unattended in virtual environments and can automate a variety of operations are known as unattended bots. This robot is responsible for remote execution, monitoring, scheduling, and providing assistance for work queues, in addition to the features of the attended robot. Now, for the sixth question, what is UiPath Explorer? Well, UiPath Explorer is a very powerful tool that allows users to construct a custom selector for a single UI element. It's a standalone utility that users can get from your Automation Cloud Instances Resource Center or through Studio if you are using UiPath. The activities package is added to the project as dependencies. You don't need to install Studio to use UI Explorer as a standalone application. This is useful when you want to ensure that a program can be automated using selectors. It allows you to quickly inspect items without having to create a process. Now, let's move on to our next question. What are arguments in UiPath? The arguments in UiPath are primarily used when data must be passed from one workflow to another. They are in charge of transferring data between projects. These arguments must follow a particular condition, for example, in or out. For our next question, we have what is meant by generic variable in UiPath. The generic variable in UiPath is a sort of variable that can handle a wide range of data types, which can include arrays, integers, strings, or some other kind of data formats. For our ninth question, we have what is branching in UiPath? In UiPath, branching is referred to as the condition. When there is an activity with numerous solutions after a given condition, the branching condition is utilized. This branching allows the software to determine what behavior should be presented in the event that a specific condition is selected. Switch activity can be used to implement branching. The integer argument is used by default in the switch activity, but you can also alter it depending on your requirements. the switch activity can be used to sort data into groups based on a specific number of cases. For our next question, we have what is meant by session variables in UiPath? Well, session variables in UiPath are defined as variables that are unique to a single instance of a process. If many instances of the corresponding processes run at the same time, all of the session variables will be same. The values for those session variables, on the other hand, will be different. For our 11th question, we have talk about the importance of flowchart activities in UiPath. In UiPath, the flowchart activities allows us to manage the basic settings for any task. These tasks can be used for practically any form of automation project, regardless of its duration or complexity. Flowcharts are also utilized in the automation of complicated corporate projects to separate and develop logical procedures. During the automation process, flowchart activities can be used to integrate necessary actions or functionalities into flowchart. Now, let's move on to our 12th question. Talk about the life cycle of RPA. Now guys, pay attention because this is an important question. So, RPA has 6 main phases, which are discovery phase, solution design phase, development phase, user acceptance testing, deployment and maintenance phase, and lastly, bots execution. So, let's talk about these phases one by one. Well, in the discovery phase, the requirements are gathered and it is decided if or not the project can be automated. In the solution designing phase, the solution is constructed and checked to the points if the requirements have been met. After this, the budget is decided. The number of people who will work for this project is decided, and the estimated time it will take to complete the project, and so on. The development phase is where the RPA developers build bots and scripts to automate tasks using the RPA tools. During the user acceptance testing, the bots that have been created in the development phase are put to the testing phase to see how they can help users automate specific tasks. If testing fails, it goes back to the development phase. If it succeeds, it moves on to the next phase, which is the deployment and maintenance phase. In this phase, the bots are moved into production environment where they can help increase productivity. If a problem occurs, like the bots do not automate, they are forwarded to the RPA development and testing team where they are fixed. And lastly, the bot execution phase. After the bots have been deployed, the bots are examined to ensure that implementation is done flawlessly. 13th question. What is flow switch? A flow switch activity is similar to a flow decision, but it is not limited to a true or false branch. A flow step is a name for each branch of a flow switch activity. When more than two alternative branches are required, the flow switch activity is used, which is a conditional node that provides branching for the flow of control, depending on a match condition. We use the flow decision activity instead if the flow branching only requires two pathways. Now, moving on to the 14th question. Talk about switch activity in UiPath. Well, in UiPath, the switch activity is used to transition from one value to another based on the expression's defined values. As a default, it uses the switch integer argument. However, by navigating to the Properties tab and selecting the needed type of argument, we can easily change it. The activity is most useful when it comes to categorizing data by case number. Now, 15th question. Does UiPath have support for automatic recording? Yes, UiPath allows us to automatically record the actions and activities we execute on the system. We can quickly personalize the project using the automatic recording tool, which provides a number of possibilities. It creates a skeleton of the entire procedure that has been completed. Instead of manually automating the entire project, we can quickly parameterize and personalize the process which saves a lot of time. Now, for our 16th question, we have explain UiPath architecture. Well, this is also an important question, so please pay attention, guys. The architecture of UiPath contains three main layers, which are the client layer, the server layer, and the persistence layer. Let's talk about them. This is what the architecture of UiPath looks like. So let's talk about the client layer first. This layer comprises UiPath components that users can interact with. UiPath Studio, UiPath Agent, robots, browsers, and executors are some of the examples. These components can be used to build and develop automation tasks. UiPath bots then carry out the tasks that have been created. And this layer is sometimes referred to as the presentation layer. Now, talking about the server layer, this layer displays all of the server related information. The UiPath orchestrator is located on this tier. The full project is published to the server once the UiPath bots have been constructed and can execute tasks without issues. The project can be easily executed on several platforms thanks to an orchestrator. The orchestrator is in charge of the entire project and assists us in meeting service levels and schedules. Now, let's talk about persistence layer. Database servers make up the majority of the persistence layer. The layer is used to hold UiPath bot configuration information. It also organizes and regulates queues, as well as the tasks currently in them. Data from different users, logging information, associated robots, assigned tasks, asset details, and so on are included in the configuration details. Users often enter the needed details in the orchestrator. Now, let's move on to our next question. How screen scraping and data scraping are different? Well, to understand this, all we need to do is take a look at this table. The first difference is that screen scraping extracts non-structural data, whereas data scraping extracts structured data. Second, screen scraping saves the data as a string, whereas data scraping stores the extracted data in a data table. Images and PDFs can be collected with screen scraping, whereas with data scraping, that is completely impossible. And fourth, screen scraping is not optimal to extract data when dealing with Excel files or databases, whereas data scraping is suited for these aspects. For our next question, we have how RPA and test automation are different. Okay, so again, let's look at some of the differences. RPA automates business procedures that are repeated over and over. Test automation is the process of automating repetitive test cases. RPA may be used to automate both product and business activities, but with test automation, only the product and its features can be subjected to test automation. The RPA has drag-drop activities that makes coding skills less important, whereas for test automation, you need to have programming experience and expertise. For our last difference, we have that for RPA, only one production environment is needed, whereas the test automation is used in a variety of situations such as QA, UAT, or production environment. For our 19th question, we have what are some of the ways to record in the UiPath? Well, UiPath offers these ways of recording: basic, desktop, web, image, and native Citrix. Let's talk about them in brief. Basic recording is primarily utilized for single activities because it generates a full selection for each one. Desktop recording is mostly utilized for all types of desktop programs because it generates container activities and partial selections for each contained activity. The web option is usually used in web programs and browsers to record. This is due to the fact that it generates container activities by default, which use the simulate type or click input technique. The image recordings option is ideally suited for virtualized systems like Citrix, SAP, VNC, and virtual machines. It is, however, limited to text, keyboard, and image automation only. And the native Citrix is meant for Citrix virtualized desktops and apps. Now, moving on to the next question. How chatbot is different from RPA? Well, there's a big difference. Let's talk about it. A chatbot is a bot that is programmed to converse with a user, which is human, in a human-like manner. It makes a request and advise backend system to offer a request or recommend a pre-learned remedy to a specific problem the user is experiencing. As for the RPA, it is a bot that is programmed to automate a manual business process, such as performing a job or activity inside a business function. HR, finance, and procurement are examples of business functions. For our 21st question, we have what is exception handling? List the options for exception handling. Well, the practice of dealing with or addressing problems observed in various UiPath tasks is known as exception handling. There are four main options for managing exceptions. These are rethrow. When we wish to conduct actions before an exception is thrown, we use rethrow. Terminate workflow. It is used when a job finds an issue and we want to stop the entire workflow from running. Throw. When we wish to throw an error before performing an action, we use this method. Try catch. It is mostly used to deal with exceptions. The try block contains a list of activities that may fail during execution. Furthermore, the tasks, which are meant to be performed once, throws an exception error. For our next question, we have differentiate between Selenium and UiPath. Well, Selenium is built mainly for testing web applications and web pages. It is impossible to interact with numerous applications in Selenium and use one application's result as an input for another. It is completely incompatible with virtualized environments such as Citrix and others. While UiPath is an RPA solution that can be used to automate any existing software process and replace any activity that can be done by human. The Selenium cannot do such things. As a result, we can argue that RPA is the next step in the evolution of existing automation systems. It enables anyone with little to no software programming experience to create complicated rules-based procedures. And you can use UiPath to perform whatever that Selenium can do, but the vice versa is not possible. How should one address runtime exceptions in their workflow? Well, RPA developers should use one of the following methods to address runtime exceptions in the workflow. First, by keeping track of any exceptions that occur. Second, inside the catch blocks, employing automatic recovery sequences. And third, when executing external workflow files, try-catch blocks are used. Moving on to the next question. What are processes, jobs, queues, and assets in UiPath? So, let's talk about them. The processes page allows users to create new processes, manage current processes, and build new processes from uploaded packages, as well as maintain all of your process up to date with the latest package version. A job is a description of how a procedure is carried out on an UiPath robot. It has the ability to start a job in either attended or unattended mode. Queues are a form of storage container that may hold an infinite number of objects. Queue objects can be used to store variety of data such as invoices or client information. Other systems such as SAP or Salesforce are used to process this data. Talking about assets, assets are variables or credentials that are regularly shared and can be used in various automation programs. They let users store one-of-a-kind information that robots can access fast. Moving on to our final question. What types of automations are available in UiPath? Well, UiPath offers a variety of automation options. These are Excel automation, which is used for sorting, removing, retrieving, and analyzing data. Data migration and data integration into this platform is straightforward. For the file automation, it refers to the automation of file and folder related actions on your computer, such as creating, renaming, and copying files and folders. CSV automation. It is used to attach data to CSV files or to get data from them. Mail automation. Task automation is possible with emails from Outlook Desktop, Gmail, and Outlook 365. Word automation. Using the Microsoft Word, the most typical task in Word documents may be automated using Word automation and PowerPoint automation. This allows the user to automate some of the most popular PowerPoint actions. So guys, with that, we end the video. Thanks for watching, and if you have any specific questions, feel free to drop a comment below, and until then, happy learning.
I hope you have enjoyed listening to this video. Please be kind enough to like it, and you can comment any of your doubts and queries, and we will reply them at the earliest. Do look out for more videos in our playlist and subscribe to Edureka channel to learn more. Happy learning!